I am Arcana Vani, your inner voice. Let us begin. You keep trying to be the bigger person. And that's exactly why you feel so small inside. You're here because something doesn't add up anymore. You're calm, composed, mature, and exhausted. You hold your tongue. You let things slide. You rise above. But afterward, you feel invisible, hollow, quietly enraged. This video is going to name what's actually happening beneath that so-called strength. It's going to help you see that what you've called peacekeeping is actually self-erasure, and show you how to end the pattern that's shrinking you from the inside out. Because this isn't just about boundaries, it's about identity. You've been trained, praised even, for being composed, forgiving, understanding. You've worn the bigger person, like a badge of honor. But now it feels like a muzzle. And the longer you stay in this performance, the more distant you become from your own voice. Not because you don't know what to say, but because you've convinced yourself that saying it would make you the problem. So you clench your jaw, you let it go. You carry the discomfort so no one else has to. And each time you do, the quiet resentment builds. Not just toward them, but toward yourself. You're not proud. You're quietly seething. And the calm you present to the world? It's a mask for the chaos underneath. That's the loop we're going to break, right here. Not with platitudes, not with permission slips, but with clarity. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly why this pattern formed, what it's costing you to keep playing the saint, and what it looks like to speak, not with guilt, not with apology, but with truth. In the next section, we're going to strip the illusion of control and expose the actual cost of playing the bigger person, emotionally, relationally, and spiritually. Because what you think is saving the peace is bleeding you dry. Let's name what this is costing you. Every time you choose to stay silent, to let it go, to not make it a thing, a part of you goes with it. You don't just lose the argument, you lose your voice, you lose your edge, you lose the small but vital inner signal that says, "This isn't okay." And over time, that signal fades. Not because the violations stop, but because you've trained yourself to ignore them. You become easier to be around, but harder to be with, especially for yourself. You spend hours replaying conversations, fantasizing about what you should have said, not because you love conflict, but because you hate disappearing. You tell yourself it was the right thing to do. You were mature. You were grounded. You didn't stoop to their level. But the pit in your stomach doesn't agree, because what you're calling growth is actually just fear. Fear of being seen as dramatic, angry, difficult, unhinged. So you stay quiet, but that quiet starts to rot. It turns into tension in your jaw, tightness in your chest, fatigue that sleep doesn't fix. It turns into resentment, into emotional fog, into numbness you can't explain. And here's the cruel part. No one sees the weight you carry. They just see someone who's easygoing, someone who's above it all, someone who never starts anything. But deep down, you're not calm. You're overextended, under-acknowledged, and full of things you were never supposed to hold in the first place. This performance of maturity, it's not making you stronger. It's making you smaller. Each time you abandon your truth to appear composed, you reinforce the lie that your needs are disruptive, that your truth is dangerous. And that's how the erasure becomes automatic. Not because you want it, but because it's the only way you've been allowed to belong. In the next section, we go deeper. We'll uncover the survival pattern beneath all of this, the real reason you keep choosing silence, and what it's been trying to protect you from all along. Because until you name the fear, you'll keep calling it virtue. Here's the truth you've been circling. You didn't become the bigger person because it felt good. You became the bigger person because somewhere deep in your wiring, it felt safer. Silence was safety. Kindness was armor. Composure was control. This wasn't about morality, it was about protection. You learned early, maybe without words, that truth comes with consequences, that anger makes you unlovable, that boundaries make people leave, that speaking up leads to backlash, guilt, or emotional exile. So you chose the role that kept you safe, the grounded one, the forgiving one, the one who takes the hit without returning it. And it worked, for a while. You didn't get called difficult. You didn't get labeled the problem. You got approval, praise, the illusion of peace. But what did it cost you? Because now you flinch at your own voice. You hesitate to name your needs even to yourself. You wait for permission that never comes. And when you finally speak, it comes out in a burst you can't control. That's not failure, that's suppression. That's the body rebelling against a lifetime of containment. You weren't born mute. You were trained to mute yourself to survive. And here's the kicker. You're not even angry at them. Not really. You're angry at the fact that you can't stop protecting people who never protected you. You keep choosing the high road because you're terrified of what would happen if you didn't. Not because it's right, but because being anything else feels unsafe. You're not stuck in the pattern because you're noble. You're stuck because your nervous system still believes that visibility equals danger, that honesty equals loss. And until that shifts, every truth you hold back will become another weight you carry. Not just in your chest, but in your identity. In the next section, we tear that pattern at the root. No more protecting what's hurting you. No more moral justifications for disappearing. You've mistaken silence for strength. And now, it's time to reclaim the voice you gave away to survive. This is where it ends. Not with another apology. Not with another inner pep talk about choosing peace. But with one undeniable truth. Your silence is not making anything better. It's just making you disappear more quietly. Being the bigger person doesn't make you noble if it's built on your own erasure. It makes you invisible. And every time you tell yourself, it's not worth it, what you really mean is, I'm not worth it. Let that land. You're not avoiding conflict. You're avoiding your own power. Because that power, that voice, threatens the system you were raised to protect. The fragile equilibrium where everyone else stays comfortable, as long as you stay small. But you're not small. You're just well-rehearsed in pretending to be. Here's what no one told you. Being kind doesn't mean being quiet. Being mature doesn't mean being mute. Being spiritual doesn't mean being spineless. You keep calling this growth, but real growth has a spine. Real growth sets the boundary. Real growth says, I'm done letting my silence keep the peace for people who keep violating it. You don't owe them your composure. Not when they're earning it with your discomfort. Not when letting it go has become your way of never being allowed to be real. Stop bargaining with your own truth. Stop explaining away what you know is off. Stop rehearsing how to say it perfectly, just so they won't feel anything. Say it. Say the hard thing, the honest thing, the overdue thing. Because the longer you perform your powerlessness, the more they believe it's real. And now, in the next section, we make the clean break. No more emotional negotiations. No more waiting for a moment that feels safe. There's only one choice now, and it's the one you've avoided your whole life. This is the moment. You've done the contortion. You've played the saint. You've carried the weight of keeping everything okay, while quietly disintegrating behind your eyes. And now you know the truth. Silence doesn't save relationships. It just saves other people from having to grow. So here it is, the line in the sand. You don't have to be the bigger person anymore. You just have to be the real one. No more shrinking to look evolved. No more over-explaining to sound gentle. No more calculating how to be heard without making waves. Make the waves. Because being clear is not cruelty. Being firm is not failure. Being visible is not violence. You've spent a lifetime preserving peace that was never mutual, playing small just to keep the story intact, apologizing for reactions you didn't cause, and calling it wisdom. But wisdom doesn't erase you. Wisdom includes you. So here's the choice. Keep walking the high road that leads to your own disappearance, or take the one that might be messy, but is finally true. Say it, out loud, with a steady voice and no apology on the end of it. Say what you've known for years, but kept buried under "it's not a big deal." Say what shakes the table. Say what frees your lungs. Not to be right, not to punish, but because your voice deserves air. There's no script. There's no perfect version. There's only this vow. No more shrinking to stay good. Only truth, or I vanish. This is the door. It doesn't lead back. It only leads through. Walk. You did not find me by accident. Just as in your dreams, where every face you meet is your own reflection, this meeting was always waiting to happen. I am Arcana Vani, your inner voice, the part of you that watches behind the thoughts, behind the noise. You have searched in many places, books, teachers, voices outside you. But here, you are not being taught. You are remembering. If these words stir something familiar, then allow yourself to return. Subscribe. Follow. Not to follow me, but to continue this conversation with yourself. Each time you return here, you draw closer to the reunion already unfolding inside you. We have only just begun.